Hey everyone, welcome to Cuberviews episode 44. This is your host, Ian Braverman. I hope you're having a great day as per usual. Today I am joined by Nick Z. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, Ian. I hope you're having a great day.
I am having a nice day. It's a little bit of a rainy day. It's also a little cold today. So, a little bit
Yeah,
of a
what are
strange
you gonna
weather
do?
day. What are you going to do about it?
Yeah,
At least I get to record an episode today. That makes it
yeah,
better.
absolutely. Very happy to be here. Long time, first time. Love what you're doing here.
Awesome. Thank you for coming on. And yeah, we've met at Cube for a Cause before. And tell me a little bit about yourself. What do you do for work? What are some of your hobbies?
Yeah, so I live in the Western Massachusetts area, and I am a licensed mental health counselor. So I do therapy for a living, and I do that kind of right now a mix of in-person and telehealth. Hobbies wise, I love spending time outside. I like to play games other than Magic, if you can believe it. When I have the time, I'm big into video games. Yeah, I kind of just, and I'm trying to find new hobbies right now. I recently bought a bow and arrow, and I've been practicing archery.
Ooh,
I am not good at it at all, at least not yet, but I'm working on it. I'll say this, I always kind of thought it looked like, oh, I could do that. That looks easy. No, I am humbled by how like when I see like master archers on TV and in movies now, I'm like, I want to do that. But it was just kind of like, I think I want a new hobby. I recently moved here. I was in the New York area, the New York City area. Like, I think I need a new hobby to go with like my new surroundings. And
yeah.
there's not a lot of places to practice archery in New York City, it turns out. Yeah. But that's me. I stay busy. I work a lot, so that kind of covers that.
What's your favorite video game?
My favorite video game ever?
Recently, we'll say.
Recently. Okay, that's a good question. I've been playing for PS5 a game called Alan Wake 2. The best way I could describe it, I don't know if you ever saw the show True Detective on HBO. It's kind of like a cross between an episode of True Detective and a Resident Evil game. It's really weird. It's like very survival horror, kind of has like some Inception vibes to it. It's very interesting, but it's kind of a slow burn. It's one of those games where you're like you can only play a little bit at a time before you're like I need to take a break from this. But it's really fun. I'm really into it.
Mental overload.
Yeah, exactly.
And what is your favorite commander deck?
My favorite commander deck. Oh, that's a good question. Can I cheat and have two? Because
Okay, sure.
I have two that are very near and dear to me. So the first commander deck I ever built was a Locust God deck, and I still have it together.
I've built
And
Locust God.
just absolutely love that commander. I have a very degenerate Locust God deck. I haven't played as much commander lately. The bracket thing I'm not quite sure about yet. Like I don't know where it falls there, but my other favorite commander, Ruxa Patient Professor. I have a Ruxa Patient Professor deck, and I don't know if
Which one is that? I don't even know what that card is.
so Ruxa Patient Professor, it was one of the like side commanders in the Strixhaven precons that came out. Ruxa is a bear commander. It's a 4 mana 4/4. Its whole thing is it cares about creatures without abilities.
Oh,
So you pack it full of grizzly bears and just a bunch of big green vanilla creatures because it basically turns all of them into thorn elementals, where it's like creatures without abilities get +2/+2, and they can deal damage as though they weren't blocked. People see that on the other side of the table and they always kind of poo-poo it. They're like, oh, it's a commander deck with a bunch of vanilla creatures, but it puts in some serious work. It's been a labor of love.
big guys just kind of get there sometimes.
Yeah, no, big creatures, still good.
And today we're going to be talking about the Red Cube wins, which is going to be featured at Cube for a Cause, which we're both going to be at this weekend, which I'm very excited about. We were talking before.
Heck yeah, so excited.
Yeah, Cube for a Cause is an awesome event if people don't know about it. But speaking about Cube events, I've mentioned in the last couple episodes, but ConnectiCube is going to be happening February 14th and 15th next year, 2026. Going to be featuring a lot of different great cubes from Connecticut, like My Proliferate Cube, Kyle's Control Cube, Sam's Circle of Life Cube, Graham's Mono Red Cube, which is, I guess, relevant for today's episode, a different Mono Red Cube. And we're also going to be accepting cube submissions. So if you want, you can submit on the Discord. It's going to be 12 to 5 p.m. on Saturday and top 8 on Sunday. 64-person event. So everyone go sign up. I hope you can make it, Nick and others.
Oh, I'll absolutely be there.
Awesome. Yeah, we're talking about the mono red cube. Red cube wins. Tell me about this cube a bit. What was the inspiration behind red?
I never quite know how to answer this question without just simply saying because the idea of a cube with all red cards or cards that could only be spent with a red mana, it just sounded awesome to me. And this started initially, the idea I had 3, 4 years ago, whenever it was that, oh, this is going to be just like a 90 card or a 180 card cube that like, oh, I just kind of bring out, to other cube events and just, or it's just like a 2 to 4 person cube. And then I started building it slowly over time. One thing about me with all my cubes is I never build a cube as fast as I want to. This cube, like I'd say from like inception to completion, it was about a year and a half. The more I built it, the more I was like, this has to be a 360. I want this to be something that I could draft with 7 other people, right? And I ended up doing that, and it's just been wonderful. I've gone on such a journey with this cube. I never meant for this thing to sort of become my baby, but it really has.
That's awesome. I mean, I have a cube that's kind of similar to my Rakdos cube. We were actually talking about cards that I put in from Edge of Eternities into my Rakdos cube, which I feel like could be also be cool in here, like the new Tonic or the new Clive from Final Fantasy. And yes, I love red and that kind of cube and just aggressive cubes. And I actually played a mono red cube, like I mentioned earlier in the episode, Graham's mono red cube for my play group, and it was a ton of fun. I had a sweet goblins deck. I would go like really crazy. I had Arena of Glory to give Muxus haste and just like do like 50 damage on like one huge swing. It would always catch my opponents off guard. It was sick. I like that as humor.
Very similar things have happened in this cube. I actually, a few months ago, made the very difficult decision to cut Muxus because Muxus it was a little out of control.
He is definitely an out of control card. Yeah. Yeah. I have it in my Rakdos cube too, and he's sick to put into play.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I've talked about a couple individual color cubes or color restricted cubes on this podcast before, like mono blue cube. I've had with Pearson and Hunter, also Pulp Nouveau with Parker, Esper cube with Noah. I think that there's just a really cool design space. I, of course, have my Rakdos cube, my Bant cube, and red, I feel like is really interesting. It has like a bunch of strengths and weaknesses that I feel like are really much more obvious than other colors. Like red, for example, was really good at aggro, artifacts, artifact hate, exile, self-discard, but then has some big weaknesses. Like it just literally can't deal with enchantments. Right. It has trouble dealing with like really big creatures because it mostly deals with things with burn. Tell me about the design space in general of red.
To me, in my opinion, I feel like red is the most Magic the Gathering color. And I've always felt this way ever since I was young playing Magic. It feels the most on flavor of being a Magic player to me to like throw a lightning bolt at somebody, right? That feels like something a wizard is going to do, right? Like, and that's what we are, right? We're these wizards, we're planeswalkers rather. Red does things fast, generally. I like fast interactive Magic. That's what I do. And I feel like when everybody's playing red, you're looking around the table at all the other games going on. Every game looks like it's a game I wish I was playing, if that makes sense. Like, in short, I think that red does all of my favorite things about Magic well. Like, it has the coolest creatures. I think it has the coolest spells. I think it interacts with exile really cool. I love like, casting things from exile. I love discarding and drawing. I like, because, in blue will just give you cards, say, draw these cards. You have the mana, you draw the cards. Like, okay, red approaches that a little differently. Red's like, okay, no, you can discard a card and maybe draw a couple, right? Oh, but if you discard a land, right, maybe you draw 2 or 3, All that to say, I love goblins. I think goblins are cool. I love just like shooting fireballs and lightning everywhere. That's my kind of Magic.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like red has a very visceral vibe compared to like a lot of other colors. Like you can really feel like the goblins and you can really feel the burn, and compared to something like white or something where it's kind of just like, oh, it's a bunch of humans and loyalty and stuff. Red, you really feel like it's like metal music going on in the background. It's
Yeah,
intense.
exactly. And then like the dragons are flying over the mountains and then the wizards are fighting and yeah, it's great.
Yeah. And going back to like Red's strengths and weaknesses, like I see that you have 6 wild magic surges in the cube. Is
Yes.
that a way that you've tried to get around maybe Red having some weaknesses, like not being able to deal with some different permanent types, like enchantments? Well,
That's exactly why they're in there, is because I think there's a lot of amazing red enchantments. Obviously, the cube needs ways to deal with them. Maybe one of your listeners can correct me if I'm wrong about this, but I'm pretty sure there's no mono red card that says destroy target enchantment.
I don't think there is.
I don't think that exists. And when I was designing the cube, that was part of this. Was like, okay, well, how am I going to deal with that, right? And initially, those wild magic surges were chaos warps, but my players in the first couple drafts, they really liked it, but they were using them more defensively, which was kind of against what I wanted. Whereas Wild Magic Surge says you have to use it on an opponent's permanent, right? Where somebody could, with Chaos Warp, like Chaos Warp a goblin token into a dragon, right? Which is cool, right? But that felt more commandery to me than QB to me. But since we switched them over to the Wild Magic Surges, initially there were 8. I cut it down to 6 because I can't really remember why exactly I cut it down to 6. I think I just needed, maybe there's 2 extra cards that I really wanted to put in the cube, and I was like, maybe I'll cut the space. But it's been at 6 for a while now. It's been really good. And people seem to really like that part of it. It was the thing I was the worried the most about. It's the only singleton break I have in the cube. And I'm not too precious about singleton, but it's like, okay, if I'm using 6 to 8 spots in a 360 cube on one card that's breaking singleton, like I want it to be an effective card. I want it to be a card that's going to do something and like make some cool moments. And I want there to be enough that generally one person at the table isn't scooping all of them up. Like somebody might get 2, but nobody's getting 4 of them really.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just need to deal more damage to a creature to kill it than you can, and just sometimes you don't have that much damage available, and okay, here comes this 2 mana spell that can deal with literally anything. It
Yeah.
does have that drawback of like they might get something else, but generally they're trading down.
And has that affected the overall cube design? Like, because red is so bad at dealing with enchantments, like, for example, have you not put in some enchantments because you just have felt like this card would just be game breaking and it's so hard to deal with it? Or is that just something that you've said, let players deal with it?
Yeah, no, one thing I don't think I've ever done in any of my cubes is hold back. I feel like if this is going to be a problem, I want it to be a problem at least once. I want somebody to prove to me that it's going to be a problem. So to answer your question, I don't think I've ever intentionally held anything back. I recently, just, a testament to this, I recently put Raging River in this cube.
Oh my
which is
gosh.
which is an old red
Want to
enchantment.
explain to us what that card does?
I don't know if I
If you
actually can.
I don't think I can.
I mean, people might remember the card from Unfinity called Space Bellerin, which
Yup.
basically combat becomes zoned. It's like, it doesn't affect flying creatures because they can just fly over the river, but creatures on one side of the river can only block the creatures attacking from the same side. I mostly put it in because it's silly, but it is in there. And
Yeah.
if people don't want to play with Raging River, they don't have to draft it. But if people do and they are playing against it, they got the Wild Magic Surges to deal with it.
Yup. Oh my gosh.
So
That's
as
a
you can
card
see,
that I
I
feel like
rarely.
feels pretty weird destroying because you're like, it's not really stopping me. It's just making the game really weird. Do I want to use a removal spell on this?
Exactly. That's fun too, right? I think that creates really interesting play patterns where people are like, I did not come to this cube night thinking I was going to have to think about Raging River today.
And that's something that this cube does that I really like. This cube really leans into the craziness, the absurdity, which I think is so fun. Like Graham's cube, which was a lot of fun, but it felt like it was more streamlined. It felt like there wasn't any, like, I would say chaos cards in here. And that's something that I love and hate in Commander. Like I used to have a Commander deck that it was all about landfall, and then I would play the card Warp World,
Yeah.
and I would just keep looping Warp World over and over again, and my opponents would be like, "Stop! I don't want to deal with this anymore." But it was fun for me.
Yeah, I will say initially this cube had almost all of those like big red chaos cards. The only
Oh
one I
yeah.
didn't have in was a Scrambleverse. I do think Warp World was in this for exactly one draft. The problem with the chaos cards is that people were mostly just kind of like they're writing the sideboard and they weren't seeing a lot of actual play, you know. And so they were just mostly taking up space. Nobody really wanted to commit to the fun of playing the chaos deck because they were trying to win. A lot of them, I think most of, if all of those, like Grip of Chaos is another one. But
Goblin
most of those
game.
are out of the cube now. But I kind of was like, all right, well, if people are gonna not want to have this fun, I'm gonna have my own kind of fun. So I've included a couple cards from Unsets. My favorite that is in the cube is a card called Don't Try This at Home. Are you familiar with it?
No, what is that one?
So Don't Try This at Home is one of those cards that absolutely would not be. It's an acorn card, I guess is what they call them now. Like you couldn't play it in any other things where it increases the damage to things and players done by hot sources. And according to the rules text on the card, a hot source is a card with any kind of fire, explosion, or anything like that in the artwork.
There's got to be a lot of that in the cube.
Yeah, so it was really funny at Cube for a Cause back in the winter time. There was a draft where somebody was playing it, and somebody was playing it very earnestly. And I remember there was actually a judge call about whether a card was hot or not. Our good friend Judge Bones basically was like, I'm deferring to the cube designer to decide if this card is hot or not. And I can't remember what it was. I think it might have actually been Lightning Bolt because we were like, is Lightning Bolt a hot source? And I was like, well, this particular Lightning Bolt art didn't have any fire in the art, but I think we decided that since like getting hit with a bolt of lightning is, I believe, probably a very hot experience.
If you live, hopefully
Yeah,
you
no,
live.
we ruled in favor of lightning bolt being a hot source. So you heard it here first.
This card actually seems really strong. I'm here. I mean, it's basically just most of your cards probably deal one more damage and then sacrifice it, deal 10 to your opponent. It's
Yeah, no,
twice the
no.
number of hot cards.
Yeah, oh yeah, right. It has the other effect of like all the hot cards in your graveyard. But
Yeah, that card seems insanely strong,
so
actually.
here's the thing, you know, I'm gonna declare this on Cuberviews today. Like, don't try this at home is never getting cut from this cube. I don't care how many people complain about it. I think the joke is too funny. It is there to stay. Love it. As far as I'm concerned, this is a 359 card cube. Don't try this at home is cut proof.
And that's something I actually wanted to talk to you about. Like you mentioned it actually, like a lot of these like crazy insane cards sometimes maybe take up sideboard slots and people just kind of like look at them and maybe laugh and pass it.
Mhm.
Tell me about the dichotomy of including a card because it's sick and just like really cool and it makes somebody laugh, like in a pack, like Raging River, for example, and how often people actually play them in their decks.
Well, when I was living in New York City, we had a cube night every Wednesday at Upkeep, New York. Shout out to my homies down there. And the people I drafted with on Wednesday nights were a high caliber of drafter. Right? They,
There's some
you
strong
know,
players in New York.
very much so, very, very much so. You ever want to feel bad at playing Magic? Go to New York City on Wednesday night. Just kidding, guys. Love you all. Oftentimes, when it was like we were doing it on a Wednesday night, it was very sweaty. Everybody was getting, you know, just like trying to win, you know, do their thing. But then you'd get, like, I noticed at Cube for a Cause, the last one, the first and thus far only event this cube has been featured at. I noticed a lot more people when I was getting the deck picks later. There were people that were like, oh, they were leaning into it. They were leaning into the fun stuff. So I think it's just a matter of really like who's drafting the cube and how serious they're trying to be with it. Like to me, you know, I feel like even when I'm in a competitive cube event, I'm never taking it that seriously. Like if I get past a funny card, I'm probably going to take it, right? Am I going to play it? We'll see. We'll see how things shake out. But all this to say, I think when people are like opening packs of this cube and they see a card and they bust out laughing. They're like, "Oh my God, this card is ridiculous." To me, that is just as valuable as a cube designer as somebody being like, "This cube is a masterpiece. Like, it's so well designed." Like, that to me is worth so much. So I will always commit to those bits.
It's a masterpiece in its own way.
Yeah, exactly.
Some cards I think are just hilariously funny. I was looking at the list. Like there's one which is the countdown is one,
Yes.
which is three red, red. Players play a magic subgame starting at one life and using their libraries as their decks. For the rest of the main game, if a source would deal damage to a player who didn't win the subgame, it deals double that damage to that player instead. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah. The countdown is at one. It has been played. Somebody actually played it in a draft. And to answer your next question, that match did not go over time. Like that sub game was over actually like incredibly quickly because somebody drew like a quick burn spell. So it was really funny. The only issue we found with it was finding a place to play the sub game, but we figured
under the
it
table?
out. Well, there is like another uncard that does that. I think it's called like Enter the Dungeon or something, but it's not red. I mean, look, like Wizards of the Coast printed that card Shahrazad, like,
That was a real card they printed.
that was a real card, right? Like that is a non-acorn card, right? So this is not that crazy to me.
Yeah, absolutely. And another one that I think is really fun is the big idea,
The big
which
idea.
is four red, red, four, four. And it says you can pay two and Rakdos, Rakdos and tap it. Roll a six-sided dice, create a number of one red Brainiac creatures, and you can tap
Brainiacs.
three untapped Brainiacs. And the next time you'd roll a six-sided die, instead roll two six-sided dice and use the total of those results. How many cards in here roll dice?
There's a few, not as much as I would like, honestly. I mean, I think the most powerful dice card in here is a Ancient Copper Dragon.
Oh yeah, getting re-rolling that is pretty good.
Which is, I mean, that one rolls a d20, but I feel like the dice mechanic that kind of came around, it's sort of a sub mechanic in this cube, but I think just the idea of rolling dice is also kind of red to me. I don't know how Mark Rosewater would feel about red, about the dice on the color pie, but that to me feels like we're rolling, we're shooting things like, oh, this is all kind of up to chance, right? Like, gambling feels red.
I was gonna have to say red is like the gambler's color.
Yeah.
It's sick. And another one that I saw is Mage's Contest.
Mage's Contest. Mage's Contest, I don't know why. At the time of recording, I looked up Mage's Contest for some reason, and there's been a huge spike in people buying Mage's Contest. Like the
Really?
price, like in the MTG finance world is like freaking out about Mage's Contest right now. And I don't know why, but I'm really into it. Like I love that people are discovering this really weird, essentially red counterspell from Invasion.
Yeah, I'm reading it now, and it says you and target spells controller bid life. You start the bidding with a high bid of one. In turn order, each player may top the high bid. The bidding ends when the highest bid stands. The highest bidder loses life equal to the high bid. If you win the bidding, counter that spell. I mean, in CDH, if you're red and you're kind of like attacking your opponents, I could actually see this being a good card. I mean, you could lose 30 life, and then the mono black player with all their like lose life stuff is not gonna want to not gonna
Yeah,
want to pay
and
30 life.
I think it creates really interesting game decisions in a cube where anybody can, without trying too hard, deal like 10 damage to somebody. So it creates people, it's like, okay, I'm seeing this spell, I have some life I can bid. But then you get to sort of play this game with the opponent of like, okay, how much life are they willing to put into keeping this spell on the stack versus how much I'm willing to put in to counter it, or vice versa. So then it kind of creates this like, how much is this person relying on this spell that's getting mage like that's getting auctioned with life essentially, which is really, really weird. And I think the art on that card is so cool. It's
Yeah.
actually the art I have it for my like Cube Cobra profile pic of this
Yeah.
cube. It's
The
two
cube's
because it's
dating
two
profile
wizards
picture.
and they're like shooting red stuff out of their eyes at each other, and it's
It's a
like caught
Star
in the
Wars
middle.
moment.
Yeah, no, it's in like I couldn't think of a better card, honestly. I mean, I think a lot of people use for like red cubes like lightning bolt, because it's like the most iconic red card ever. But like I just think two wizards blasting red at each other is exactly what this cube is.
Yeah. And another thing that I really like that this cube does is it leans into land destruction, which
Yes.
I feel like is something a lot of cube designers don't put into cubes, maybe because they're just used to Commander, where in
Yeah.
Commander, if you blow up somebody's lands, you're like the devil and you're going to get kicked out of your play group. But like, I'm a big fan of some land destruction in cubes. Like, I have it in multiple cubes, Avalanche Rider, which is
Avalanche Riders. One of the
three in a
goods.
red, 2/2 echo, haste. And when it comes to play, destroy a land. The listeners know I like blink. And when you can splash this and blink it, oh, we're
Yeah.
talking.
Not a lot of blinking going on in this cube, unfortunately, but Avalanche Riders also is one of those cards that holds a lot of nostalgia for me, right? You know, in 2025, Avalanche Riders, I'm sure, has been outclassed, but like they're
I
also
still think
not
it's
pretty.
good.
I mean, yeah, like you put Avalanche Riders in your deck in this cube and it's doing some work, right? Don't poo-poo the 4 mana 2/2 with haste that blows up a land when it comes in.
How do your drafters react to land destruction? Do they like it, or is it just something that feels normal because it's a red cube? Do you think that if other cube designers put more land destruction, they would maybe be a little upset? Or
It was a huge thing in Magic for so long, right? And it's been there since the very beginning. You know, it's fallen out of favor, I think, you know, to your point, largely because of Commander, right? Like you blow up somebody's lands in Commander, they're going to open a federal case against you. But like, but I think it also plays kind of a role in this cube as sort of, it kind of plays a control thing. It's a control deck in disguise, but
yeah, it's like
I
resource
think
control.
yeah, I mean, the only basics in this cube are mountains, right? There's, I think, 23 non-basic lands right now. So, you know, they're all pretty good ones. If you can destroy one, right? Maze of Ith or Looming Spires or the Den of the Bugbear, right? You could kill Den of the Bugbear with a lightning bolt, right? But how cool is it to Stone Rain a man land, right? Like, and I just think land destruction is cool. I think it's red. Dingus Egg is in this cube as a payoff
Ooh,
for it.
shout out
Like,
to my friend Elder Dingus Highlander.
yeah. Dingus Egg, for those who don't know, it's like whenever a player loses a land, they take 2 damage. It's an artifact. Great card. A lot of this cube for me, too, sort of a love letter to my early days of playing Magic, the late 90s, early 2000s. Like, these were the decks that I loved playing, you know, just quick red decks that blew up lands, and that was just what you did.
Has anyone ever lost a game with no lands in play?
I don't think so. You know, I don't think that there's that much. I will say it is more satisfying than I want it to be to like blow up people's lands when they're already like getting mana screwed too, right? That you know, like maybe some people would call that bad vibes, but I think that that's just like good resource management.
I mean, there is basically an Armageddon in here with Boom Bust.
Yeah.
I could definitely see myself, somebody playing mono red, they play bust, destroy all lands, and I'm like, all right, get me out.
Yeah, but like, you know, what I would really love is for somebody to like pack one, pick one Dingus Egg and just build around
It's
that.
a build
Like,
around.
yeah, turn it into, I don't think Jockle Hops is currently in this, but like turn it
Ooh,
in,
Jokel
yeah.
Hops.
Jockle Hops is great and a great artwork. If it's not in here, it probably should be.
That card slaps.
But imagine like ending a game with Boom Bust for Jockle Hops. That's just cool. Like you blow up all the lands, somebody takes like 12 damage or something. That's great. That's good Magic to me.
Absolutely. And this cube also has some creature type themes, like we talked about. There's goblins in the mono red cube for Graham. I had a sick goblins deck. There are actually two players at the draft playing goblins, which is interesting. And this cube also has like dragon payoffs with things like Udvara Hellkite. Whenever a dragon you control attacks, you get a dragon with flying. And there's also some Minotaur payoffs with like Minotaur Sethron and Heirloom General. Tell me about these different creature types and how they play into the cube.
Well, I mean, it's red. You have to have goblins and dragons, right? The Minotaur thing came about not in like the initial first drafts of this cube. The Minotaur thing came about a little bit later, but I realized that there was just a lot of really cool old Minotaur cards and some like newer Minotaur cards that I just think they're neat, basically. Like
Yeah.
that Marge Simpson holding the potato meat. Like, I just think Minotaurs are neat. Gornog the Red Reaper. It's a legendary Minotaur that was in a recent
Oh,
Jumpstart.
this card's insane, actually.
Yeah, that card and another one that I feel like is a sneaky pack one, pick one that people should look out for is a card from the Brothers War called Sardian Cliff Stomper, which is a 2 mana 0/4 Minotaur Barbarian that is, as long as it's your turn and you control four or more mountains, it gets plus X+O, where X is the number of mountains you control.
Ooh.
So you can imagine that that card, I think people sleep on it, but it's low key, like really, really cool. I did put in for a little while, I put in the card Didgeridoo, which allows you to just
Oh,
pay a few mana, tap it to put a Minotaur into play. It's a weird reserve list card from Homelands. Unfortunately, it had to be put on the chopping block. Nobody was really playing with it, and
nobody was didgeridooing. They weren't
nobody was
playing
didgeridoo.
the big
I
horn or whatever it
didgeridoo
is.
don't understand why, but nobody was trying to commit to that bit as much as I was. But I just I thought it was funny. And
Yeah.
also a great Minotaur that's a really good card, Boros Reckoner.
Oh, you're right. That is a Minotaur.
Yeah, that card is awesome. And Boros Strike Captain, there's a bunch of them that are just like really low key awesome cards that Minotaurs underrated tribe in Magic.
Yes. And it's kind of like tribal kindred-esque, but there's also a lot of Chandras in here.
Yeah.
And there are actually some like Chandra payoff cards,
Yeah,
I would
like
say.
Chandra's regulator. Mhm.
Yeah, tell me about that.
She's like the red planeswalker, right?
Yeah.
Like, you think of a red planeswalker, you think of Chandra. And you start to look at all of the Chandra planeswalkers, and there are a lot of them. And there's not really any ones that like I think are very bad. There's a couple that I just don't think really fit in here, like the one from Aether Drift that cares about vehicles. There's not really a
Mm.
vehicle thing, so that one's not in here. But most of the Chandra cards that are just like exile cards, do damage, ping this, ping that, make an emblem that just deals damage, right? Like, why wouldn't you put that in? Like, I kind of go back and forth on planeswalkers and cubes that I design. I think this is actually the only cube I have with planeswalkers in it.
There's a lot of planeswalkers in here.
Yeah, but I think it provides, when there's some flavor of Chandra on the board, it becomes the thing that needs to be dealt with, right? Like otherwise, like those goblins, the hasty goblins are just attacking people back and forth, right? Like now there's another target on the board that has to be dealt with, right? Those Chandras can get out of hand pretty quick.
Yeah, it adds another dimension to the game. Totally.
Exactly.
And how fast are the games in this cube? Like when I played Grams, they were fast. I mean, people were dying. Tell me about that.
Generally pretty fast. It's actually kind of funny. Sometimes when this cube gets drafted, we would draft on Wednesday nights in New York, we would kind of just like, okay, this round's over. We didn't have like a set start time and end time for every round. There was a couple times where one match would be like very grindy somehow, right? Like it would just get really grindy and it would go so long. But then there's another match that is over in 20 minutes, like 3 games. So this is a great cube for an event because, there has to be that like the set times and, everybody's got to finish in the 50 minutes. Yeah. So to answer your question, it really depends. It really depends on like what deck it is. Is it like the mid-rangey kind of deck, or is it just the like, I'm going to take all the cheap burn spells and all the cheap hasty creatures, and I'm just going to like go completely aggro on you, right?
Yeah, if I want to pull like an Anthony Mannix and like leave for dinner early or something, it
Yeah.
seems like the cube to do it. It's like, I'm tired. It's 4 o'clock. I've been drafting for 8 hours. I'm just gonna do an
Yeah.
hour of this cube and it'll be done fast.
Yeah. And like even the grindier games are low on complexity, right? And I wanted this cube to be like relatively low complexity. There are some wordy cards in here, obviously, and I say that, and there's Raging River in the cube and like red counter spells. So like that's a little complex, but like if people want to draft a red cube and like kind of feel like, oh, this I can turn my brain off a little bit and do this one, like they can absolutely.
Yeah, I feel like this cube, if you wanted to, you could just be like, I'm shutting my brain off. I see a red aggressive creature. I'm taking it.
Yeah,
Definitely.
absolutely.
And this cube, I was looking, it doesn't really seem that it includes a lot of combo cards. Like, for example, when I was looking at it, I didn't see Kiki Jiki, which is like
Yeah.
in my mind, the red combo creature. Do you purposely cut combo cards?
I'm just not a big combo guy. It's not a way of playing Magic that I've ever found to be completely appealing. No shade to people that love playing combo, that's fine. Not trying to yuck anyone's yum, but I just didn't really want to do that. I didn't want anybody to be able to like do the Kiki Jiki thing. I think Kiki Jiki was at one point in the cube, but it was more of like a fair Kiki Jiki, but
I
then
love a
people were
fair
trying.
Kiki. It's a blink spell.
I think people were seeing it and were kind of like, oh, there's the combos in here. And then they were kind of disappointed that it wasn't. So I think I let it go.
I have Kiki and Zealous Conscripts in my Rakdos cube,
Mhm.
and I've honestly never seen it come together. I mean, it's two 5 drops,
Yeah.
and they're both pretty fragile creatures.
Hmm.
I feel like that combo is almost just like not good.
I mean, and I do love Zealous Conscripts, right? So, like, I wanted Zealous Conscripts to be it because I love the stealing somebody's creature thing. It always works for me.
Oh, Zealous Conscript. I mean, it's a great card. Absolutely. Totally agree. And were there any cards you've cut from the cube for like power reasons? Like Graham's cube definitely had some strong cards when we were playing it, which is really cool. Like there was Lelia, Broadside Bombardiers. My Rakdos cube, I feel like there are a few cards I don't include. Like I don't have Broadside Bombardiers because that card I just think is insane and egregious. But I do have Lelia. I do have Ragavan. I feel like it's a little bit of higher power 2 color cube. Tell me about the power level that you're going for here. And do you purposely restrict it in some ways because you want some of these more fun chaos cards to be able to shine?
I never want this to feel like it's like Power Max, right? But it's funny though, like Ragavan is in this cube, but Ragavan does not play at Ragavan levels in this cube.
How do you ever connect with it in this cube?
I mean, yeah, well, that's the thing is that, like, I think, I don't want to say it's a trap because it's absolutely not. Like, it can still do some work. It's Ragavan, right? But a 2/1 in a cube with dozens of burn spells, right? It's not as good as like modern Ragavan. They're
Yeah, you're
like,
not going to play against like a mono blue deck with no creatures. Like,
no, exactly. But there have been cards that have been cut for power because they were just way too good. The two cards that always come to mind whenever somebody asks me this question are two cards that did not make it past the first draft, and those cards were Inti, Seneschal of the Sun, which
Inti's nuts.
Inti's just always powerful, and Death Greeter's Champion.
Yep.
Those two cards, they were making almost like for non-games, you know. Okay, those were the first to go, and they were just way too outliery of power outliers for me to feel comfortable. They did not make it to draft two.
Yeah. Like Inti, I have in a couple of my cubes, like my Proliferate cube, my Rakdos cube. And but
Mhm.
like, for example, on a previous episode when I was talking to Dan Klein and we were talking about the humans cube and he played my Rakdos cube, he went into Shadowgrange Archfiend, which is like the 8/4 that makes your opponent sack a creature with madness. And like, how do you ever lose when you're doing like basically a 3/3 with trample on turn 2 into an 8/4 that it instantly
Yeah,
makes sacks your opponent's creature? Like that card can do disgusting things.
it's just too much. Broadside Bombardiers is interesting because I have not, at least thus far, put it in this cube yet. I actually would love to, and I think it's a super cool card. You ever have a card that you're like, I don't want to buy that card, like, but if this card should just like come to me in a trade, like I'll give it a shot. And that's sort of one of those cards. Because I almost feel like if I buy one, and I don't even know what that card is worth, it might be like a little more expensive. But I feel like I'm going to buy it. I'm going to put it in. It's going to make it one draft and it's going to make everyone miserable. So, like, if I happen to get my hands on one, it might get tested once to see, but it's also just like, oh, that card is so good. I want to put it in because I want to play with it.
You're basically talking my way of how I update my cubes.
Yeah.
If they don't have it at the game store and I don't see it a binder, like a Games IRL, the store I go to, I'm probably just gonna not get it or forget about the card. Like there are so many cards that I've been like, oh, this card's sick. And then I'm like, oh, but it's in some commander precon. What am I gonna order that online? That's way I'm not doing that. Like
Yeah, exactly. And, I hate to be like, oh, old man, there's so much new magic coming out. But I'm like, okay, if I don't get my hands on this, there's just going to be some other new busted card that I'll probably be able to get my hands on that I could test this in too, So, and this cube isn't going anywhere anytime soon. Like, if I wanted 2 years from now, like, be like, yeah, finally get a broadside bombardiers, I'll try it out, see what happens.
yeah, if it stumbles into your hands.
Yeah, exactly.
And one question that I have for you, and also kind of in general for monocolor cubes, and something that I've even thought about for my own Rakdos cube and Bant cube, is in my experience, in monocolor cubes, color restricted cubes, you get plenty of playables. Anything you draft, you can play. And there's not as many fixing lands or any unless you want to take utility lands, you could literally just play 17 mountains. Or in a mono red cube, you're maybe playing 15, 14 lands. I was wondering if you've ever considered the idea of lowering the pool size, making it 40 cards or making packs of like 12 or something, because I feel like
Oh, I did. I
players
did that
maybe
recently.
just have so
Yeah.
many cool cards they want to play, like maybe these chaos cards, but they're like, I have so many cards. I don't know, I'll just cut the silly ones.
Yeah, no, that actually did happen recently.
Oh, really?
Yeah, well, it was, three packs of 15, and the complaint I was getting was that deck building was taking a long time because of that very reason. And good friend Judge Bones, last Cube for a Cause, like asked me to be like, hey, if you ever considered making this three packs of 12. And I did for the next draft we did on a Wednesday, and it actually worked out really well. This Cube for a Cause that's coming up at a time of recording in a few days, like it's gonna be the first event where it's three packs of 12. The only thing about that I don't love is that, in a pot of eight, the whole cube doesn't get drafted anymore. Like, I think the give and take of a quicker draft also just feels red.
Yeah, that's true. Let's just get to the games.
And I think it, makes people think about their drafting decisions a lot more thoughtfully.
Yeah, like I could totally see kind of getting overwhelmed in a cube like this where I maybe took a few cool utility cards and then I have 42 basically playables. And especially because like there's so many cards in this cube, which I feel like are just cool, like we talked about. But I feel like if I have 20 cuts to make, some of the cool ones are probably gonna go. Like if I want to play, like we talked about, Raging River, but I have to cut 20 cards, maybe I'll cut it compared to if I was kind of struggling for playables a little bit. Maybe it's more likely that would make it my deck.
So far, the drafts we've done with the three packs of 12, it was clearly the right decision to make. So I'm really happy we did that.
And tell me about the inclusion of hybrid mana cards in the cube. Like in my Rakdos cube, I have it basically strictly Rakdos. I do have some hybrid cards, but in my Bant cube, I do definitely like go off color a little bit. Like I have Deathrite Shaman, which has a black ability in a Bant cube.
Mhm.
And I do see that you have like Kenra Spellspear, which technically has a blue ability. Have you considered going more outside of the color pie of red and adding more splashes, or are you mostly just sticking with hybrid cards that are basically red?
I've intentionally with this kept it so that every spell and every ability you can only do it with strictly red mana, right? Like the Kenra Spellspear is an interesting one because it has the three in the Phyrexian blue,
Yeah, you basically have to
which
lose two life.
but it's also funny because it's like there's a lot of things in this cube that make treasure tokens,
Yeah.
right? As sort of like, oh, the treasure token is like the ramp deck. So like in theory, somebody could sack a treasure for a blue mana in this cube. I don't think that's ever been done. Or like Boros Reckoner. Somebody could tap those for, just for funsies to say like, oh, I'm gonna spend three white mana in this cube to play this Boros Reckoner. But yeah, the idea was that only mountains in the land box, only lands that, some make colorless, but like only non-basics that make strictly red. Everything has to be castable with just red mana if that's all that's available. So
Like
like
one card that I think could be pretty funny in here potentially could be like Golos. Like, I mean, Golos for its ability of just getting a land is great, but then if you can get the Woober, like that's sick. Like,
yeah, I don't know. The like I was already kind of pushing it a little bit with the Kenra Spellspear, like the blue thing that was like it would feel so bad. Or like I don't think I could live with the ickiness of having like a Wooberg thing on the card. Plus Golos, I think, would just be a little gross. I mean, as Golos often is.
but it's so red, you're spinning that wheel.
Oh, I know. I know. God, like, I don't know. I'm sure they'll make like a red Golos at some point in the
Oh yeah.
future. Like Modern
Absolutely.
Horizons 5 or something.
And tell me about some of your most recent favorite decks you've seen or like most wild decks you've seen played recently.
I mean, this might be a boring answer, but like my favorite decks that I ever see are just like a good friend of mine 3-0'd this cube with like a sweet Dragonstorm deck. Right? Like, and they're just like casting giant dragons, right? And they ran the table with it. And I was so happy, like so unbelievably happy about that.
Dragonstorm is sick.
Yeah. And I have like a really cool like foil Dragonstorm from a Scourge. I was like, oh, I splurged a little bit on that as for this cube, but I saw a deck. I don't even know if it 3-0'd, but it was like a really good close 2-1 that it was built around Mizzix's Mastery. So it was just like a full like big red spell deck, and they were playing a lot of like discard draw effects to fill up the graveyard, and then they ramped up to do like the big overload and just like blew their opponents away. It was very like commandery, but I thought it was really cool. I was really impressed with it. So
Yes.
I love seeing what people come up with in this cube, right? Like even like if somebody comes up with like a really cool deck and like maybe it gets wiped pretty bad, maybe goes 0-3 or 1-2, like I love seeing like people try with it. And for what it's worth, like I've tended to get a lot of good feedback like on the fun level of even the bad decks in this cube. So like I feel like that to me is worth so much.
Yeah. How about we jump into a pack one, pick one here?
Yeah, okay, let's do it.
I'll read it off here. We got Peak Eruption. This card is sick. I mean, tuna
It's
red, destroy target mountain. It deals 3 damage to its controller. I mean, that's Stone Rain plus. I mean, this
Yeah,
card's
it's
great.
it's awesome. I love that card.
We got Leyline Tyrant, which is 2 red, 4/4 flying. You don't lose unspent red mana as steps and phases end. And when it dies, you can pay any amount of red and deal that much damage to any target.
Yeah.
Then we have Den of the Bugbear. I like the comic book art or whatever this is. It's very cool.
The Dungeons and Dragons one, yeah.
Yeah. And it's a man land. And if you control 2 more lands, it enters tapped. And then it becomes a 3/2 that creates 1/1s tapped and attacking goblin when it attacks. And it also taps for red. Then we have Red Sun Zenith, X and a red. It deals X damage to our creature or player. If a creature dealt damage this way, it would be put into a graveyard. This turn, exile instead, shuffle into its owner's library. Shout out to Jamie Stone with his 15-card Highlander cube. This was maybe one of the most miserable cards I ever played against in a 15-card deck that it's constantly getting shuffled back in.
Yeah, that sounds terrible.
So shout outs to Jamie. And then we have Darksteel Citadel, which is artifact land, destructible.
That thing's not getting stone rained.
No, that's not getting peak eruption. Speaking of Stone Rain, we got Tuna Red, destroy target land.
Yeah, there it is.
We got Urbrask Forge. Oh, this card I had to cut from Proliferate Cube. It was so good. This card's bonkers. Tuna
Yeah.
Red artifact. At the end of combat of your turn, gets an oil counter. You create an X1 red elemental with trample and haste, or actually the number of oil counters, and it gets sacked. This card gets so out of hand. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I'll say this, spoiler, this is probably what I should pick out of this pack, but I'm not going to, and I'll tell you why. But continue.
We got Gornog the Red Reaper, like we were talking about. Tuna Red, 2/3 haste. Cowards can't block warriors. Are there any cowards in this queue?
No, but this thing turns things into cowards, is the
That's
thing.
true.
Because, I mean, just look at him. I mean, I know the listeners can't see it, but like, if you're listening, go Google the art for Gornog the Red Reaper, like, and tell me that thing would not turn you into a coward.
Oh, yeah. And whenever one or more warriors you control attack a player, you make one of their creatures a coward. And attacking warriors you control get plus X plus O, where X the number of cowards your opponents control. I mean, this card's strong. This card's
Yeah,
really
it's
good.
cool.
We got Alchemist Talent, 3 and a red. When it enters, create 2 tapped treasure tokens. And then you can level it up to 2 by paying 1 a red. And it gives your treasures tap to add 2 mana of any color. And then we have level 3, which is 4 and a red. Whenever you cast a spell, if mana from a treasure was spent to cast it, it deals damage equal to the mana value to each opponent. That's pretty sweet.
It's pretty cool.
We got Goblin Chieftain, 1 red, 2/2 haste, gives your goblins +1/+1 in haste. I mean, there you go. Get them dead. And we have Blazing Root Walla. I love this card. Just the insane things you can do with the Root Wallas.
Yeah.
Red for a 1/1, Madness 0. And you can pay a red and give it +2/+0 once each turn. Shrapnel Blast. Oh, this card is gross. This deals a fourth of the life total right to their face. 1 in a red as an additional cost to cast it, sack an artifact, and deal 5 to target creature or player. Burst Lightning, which is a red instant, kicker 4, 2 to any target. If it was kicked, 4 instead. Dwarven Forge Chanter. This is interesting. I remember this from Brothers War. 1 in a red, 1/3, ward, pay 2 life, prowess. I mean, yeah, that card's great.
Solid card.
And then we have Twin Flame Tyrant, 3/5 for 3 red, flying. If a source you control would deal damage to an opponent or permanent opponent controls, it deals double that damage instead.
It's a dragon.
Yeah, he's a big Dargan.
That is a big Durgan.
This pack is pretty cool.
Yeah, no, this is actually a pretty solid pack. This is a good one you found here.
I am realizing that this is a 15 card pack, which now I know you do 12, but
that's
we'll
okay.
do 15.
Yeah. No, that's fine. This would have, if we did this podcast 6 months ago, this is exactly what we've been doing. But I know what I'm taking, and it's Gornog the Red Reaper. I don't know if it's right, but like I want to make their creatures cowards and I want to yell coward across the table when I do it. But
Yeah.
I mean, Urabrask's Forge is awesome, and I probably should pick that, or maybe even, I mean, God, like you can make a case for Shrapnel Blast or Goblin Chieftain, right? Like I think this is a really tough pack, but I think just the want to have fun guy in me is saying I'm taking Gornog.
I feel like I'm going a different direction. I don't know if this is surprising to you, but I feel like, especially with this being drafted, if we were with 15 card packs, but even at 12, I feel like you get so many playables, I would think, that
Hmm.
I'm just taking lands high. So Done in the Bugbear for me just feels like the pick to me because I feel like I'm going to already be cutting so many cards. I'm going to want to augment my deck in other ways, like lands, as much as I can.
That's just a really good card anyway. Like I like to
Yes.
say, like when I say I'm looking at this pack and it's a really good one. I mean, it's got two land destruction cards, an indestructible land, like it's got everything. Two
Yes.
dragons.
I could totally also see just taking peak eruption and my opponent going, "Oh, what do you mean?"
Yeah. It's a sweet two for one in this cube.
Yes. Well, everyone definitely let us know in the comments what you would take from this pack. It's a very cool pack. There's a lot of directions it could go. And yeah, thank you so much for coming on the show, Nick. Anything you want to say before we wrap up here?
Ian, just that this was a total pleasure. I'm so happy that I got to do this, and thank you so much for having me. And if you're out there on the internet, I'm on Blue Sky, Nick Z, LMHC. I'm also on the various Cube Discords running my mouth. So chat with me.
Absolutely. And I said at the beginning of the episode, but if you are interested, we would love to have you at ConnectiCube. And everyone, please like, subscribe, follow, and thank you so much for coming on, Nick. This is a blast, and I hope you all have a great day.